Well, what's going on? Good evening, good evening, good evening. Pastor Dixon here. Coming to you long distance, all the way from North Carolina. I hope everyone's having a good day, a wonderful evening. I'm going to tag some people right quick. Hopefully I won't tag the wrong folks tonight. I have a bad habit of doing in my haste. Okay. Of course, we'll actually get started in a few minutes, giving folks a chance to get on. And I'll talk about the direction that tonight's live is going to take. Of course, we'll take a few minutes to greet some folks as they come on. I hope we have a lively conversation. And, Sid Faden. Okay. It's been busy in Charleston, hasn't it? All of the debate hoopla, and the week before, the days now before the Democratic primary, which we're going to touch on tonight. We're going to talk about that a bit. Really be remiss if we didn't. That's not what I do. Okay. Let's see. Who else we got here? Kick out a few more tags and let's get it cracking. Okay, let's see. Jillian, Willie, Lisa, Jennifer. Forget Mugger Man. For sure. Okay, I think I'm going to stop right there. Okay, that's quite a bit. Oh, good to see you. Got some folks already online. Let's see if I can get this thing positioned as I take a look. Marcel, what's going on? Nephew, what's happening? All right. Vic, what's going on, brother? I pray all is well back in Chi-Town. I'll be back home in May, the end of May. Vanessa and I are coming back. I know I got a bunch of youngsters on here, but I'll be back for my 50th high school anniversary reunion. So, yeah, it is what it is, you know. A lot of folks say, man, you don't act like the elder. Well, all right. Who says you got to act old just because you're old? I ain't down with that, okay? But good to see you, Vic. Send much love to your moms, okay? Hopefully I'll get a chance to see her while I'm in town. We'd love to do that. Marcel, Ray, Don, what's going on? Brother William, looking forward to chatting with you tomorrow. Shanalia, what's going on? How you and Easy doing? I hope all is well. Somebody let me know if I got good audio and video. Okay, give me a thumbs up or something. Give me like a boom boom. Okay. All right. Minister John Henry, what's happening, brother? I need to get on up your way. You know, we got some work to do in Georgetown, that's for sure. Okay. Net, what's happening? Jermaine, what's going on, brother? Hit me up sometime soon. We need to get to the table and build a little bit. Lori, good to see you. All righty, good evening. Yeah. Okay, say can't stay long. Okay. Oh, no. Back into the hospital. We'll keep him in prayer. And you too, you and the family too. Okay, Shauna Leah, for sure. Man, we miss you. We sure do miss you. Thanks, Jermaine. I appreciate that. Yeah, we miss you. You and Easy. For sure. He's on. man. So we'll keep your brother in prayer and everything, and you all too. Okay. Oh, it's so good. I'm gonna give a little bit more time for folks to get on, and then we're gonna jump right on into this thing tonight. Great, great, man. You got a dynamic young man. Yeah, revolutionary of the future. That's for sure. Next generation of revolutionary. I love it. George, what's going on? Good to see you back in town. Like a very interesting trip too. Yeah, we'll have to talk about it. Rosemary, good to see you. Sean, what's happening? Yeah. So, yeah, we're gonna touch on a couple of subjects tonight. Okay. One being the school board, and I might venture a little bit into some of this controversy and confusion that's going on out here about single member districts. Not about what's behind it and all of that, but the confusion. You know, I think I started out by talking about I'm going to my 50th reunion, class reunion. Yeah, I'm too old to be fooling around with foolishness. Period. I had my days back when I used to drink and smoke weed and do dope. That's when I acted foolishly. As the scripture says, when I was a babe, I thought as a babe, I talked as a babe. But now I'm older, I'm a grown man now, so I don't do that. Okay. LT, what's going on? Good to see you, sir. That's for sure. That's for sure. My thoughts and prayers to the officer up in Sumter. It's crazy. You know, my heart breaks no matter who it is. If it's somebody in the community that, is hurt, by gunfire or law enforcement, it doesn't make me any difference. We have a gun problem that we need to get to the bottom of that. Just coming back from Washington D.C. I'm en route back. I'm in North Carolina right now, but I was in D.C. for my board meeting. I'm on the Brady campaign to prevent gun violence. That's the old name. Now it's just Brady, okay, or Brady United Against Gun Violence, because we believe in a collaborative effort between blue and red, between Democrats and Republicans, where instead of going to our own corners and duking it out, okay, we've come to understanding that we are stronger when we work together and that we have to work together. So our motto now is take action, not sides. And we don't have a blue representation, we have a purple representation, the combination of blue and red working together, okay? And that fits that fits where I'm at totally, because I am into working together. But how many of y'all know you can't just work with everybody? There are some people that you're not going to be able to work with, no matter how you try to, no matter how you try to reach across the side, there's always going to be some folks that you just can't get to. And I've talked about those folks here in South Carolina before. I've talked about them in our General Assembly. I've talked about them in our school board. And there are folks that just don't think like I do. They don't have the same thought process. We're friends, we're cordial, but when it comes down to the decision making that's going to affect everyday people, like ending gun violence or getting people paid a decent wage or making sure that all children are educated or that everybody has equal access to health care or a place to live, their thought process is different. They say people that get Social Security like me that I'm under an entitlement. It's not an entitlement. I work for that. I put my money in and I expect my money back out. It's not an entitlement. They say people who, for whatever reasons, primarily because our society hasn't kept up with the cost of living, now have to rely on some government subsidy in order to just survive and not starve to death or be living on the streets. They said these people are entitled. They have this entitled attitude. Well, I just don't understand why those same folks that talk all that mess and they go to church every Sunday and they up under these pastors can let them to even think that way when it's our obligation and our duty, especially for church folks who profess Christianity or other religious denominations or religious groups that believe in taking care of others. Why is it that we have picks and chooses when it comes to taking care of? We can take care of one group, but we call the other group entitled when they need to be taken care of. We got to stop doing that. We got to stop doing that. Well, there's a lot of folks getting on. Miss Taz, what's going on? I will be at the Heart Walk on Saturday, definitely. I don't know if Charlotte's on or not, but I will definitely be there. Please, anybody else that can join me, 8 a.m. Saturday morning at Brittlebank Park, okay? The annual Heart Walk. I've been walking with Miss Taz and her family and with Charlotte, Team Hey Heart, for years now. And this is all about helping our children who are born with congenital heart issues, okay? And let's see, we should start a fundraiser for everyday people and have, yes, we should, yes, and have banks match us. That's a great idea. That's right. Money mutual funds, yeah. See, we have right within us, we have all of the right ideas and the right people in place. We just have to come together at the table and put these things in place, you know? We need to stop talking about Black Wall Street and be Black Wall Street, for sure. We need to be our brothers and sisters keepers and not make excuses saying we can't help them because we feel like that's an entitlement. Like I started by saying, they say that I'm entitled because I get Social Security, you know. Yeah, no, a little point of clarity. For somebody that's been making wild allegations and carrying on about me, well, you know, I'm a pastor and pastors get paid by their churches and all this here and whatever, you know. I started a church in Somerville and I stayed in that church as the pastor for quite a few years before I left that church. I didn't retire. No, I'm not retired. I'm retired because I'm over 62 years old, and as an ex-offender, you know, it was quite somewhat difficult to find gainful employment. So that's why I understand that. But as a pastor, and the people who sat up under me for years, they'll all tell you, I never took a dime for being a pastor of a church. Never. Every dime that came into Somerville Christian Fellowship, that was our church, Somerville Christian Fellowship. Every dime that came in was used for the community to help people. Every dime. And that's the only thing I don't understand. I understand pastors have to make a living and all of that, but I worked. I was working in a kitchen while I was pastoring the church. I didn't want that money for myself. That money came in to help people. So for the clown, yeah, I said it, the clown that made that statement about me and the money I got and all of this here. And sometimes you ought to ask the source before you get to running off at the mouth, you know, before you open your mouth and insert foot. Nope, but I've never taken any money for any of the work I've done, not only within the church setting, but within the community. And there are people on this line right here now that know me well enough to know I've never taken a dime for anything. And I've been there for people. I've driven up the road. I've been here. I've been there. Never asked nobody for nothing. Never accepted nothing from anybody. Because, you know, there can be a problem when people give you stuff. They expect stuff in return. And I never want to have my hands tied like that. That's for sure. Like those who gave into my campaign. And I know I'm just running off right now, but maybe this is the way that I need to go for tonight. Like those who gave into my campaign, you know, they gave in understanding a couple of things. They understood that giving into my campaign was not about what they were going to get out of it. I had a close friend thought he was going to get something out of my campaign, like a position or something like that, had I won the mayoral seat. I had to tell him straight up, no, if that's your reason for supporting me, I don't want your support. You support the mission and the message. That's it. If you give monetarily, if you knock on doors, whatever you do, it's in support of the mission and the message, not what you can get out of it. That person would have had a better chance getting something if he wouldn't even open up his mouth. But from that point on, he dipped out. So I must not have needed him anyway. You see, when people give you stuff, okay, there are those who feel like there are strings attached to their giving. You know, like, and I'm going to the school board with this thing, like 4 people is running for office and a group of other folks invest $700,000 to get them elected. Does anybody in their right mind think that $700,000 was invested just because they believed in those 4 people, the mission and the message, or because they're expecting something, a return on their investment? They're expecting a return on their investment, straight up. And that's why we have a problem with this board. But it didn't start right then. Now I'm gonna venture right on off. I could go back to the thing about the pastor, but I think y'all get the understanding about it, you know. And you find anybody that I asked about money or try to get money out of for anything that I've done. Ask any of those who've lost loved ones to gun violence. Have I ever asked them about anything? Ask those who I've stood out on strike lines and tried to get $15 or protested. And ask anybody. Have I ever asked them about any kind of money? Gas money, anything. Matter of fact, folk offer me money, I turn it down. But the school board, one aspect of the problem that I have right now is the fact that we do have this school board, these members of the school board who are backed by this group, Coalition for Kids. This group invested about $700,000 in them. Y'all saw the ads in 2018 everywhere. Radio, television, billboard ads, man, Facebook ads, everything. They put loads of money in there. And like I was saying, with people that donated to my campaign, they understand one thing. No matter how much they give, it's about donating for the mission and the message. I just happen to be the messenger, not what they can get out of it. If somebody would have offered me $700,000, my first question would have been, what do you want me to do? My second line would have been, go ahead on about your business, because I know they want me to do something. So $700,000 was invested in 4 of our board members, Charleston County School Board members, in 2018 in order to make sure they won these seats. And they did win these seats in an at-large election. Now, the ones who won, of course, there was one new person. And then that same group, I believe, it's my personal belief, manipulated some of the names that are listed under the Coalition for Kids in order to select a 5th member who was a former board member but had been off of the board for a while in order to make sure that they had a really strong segment of people on this board. Now they got 5 people on this board out of 9. 5 people on the board out of 9. And the superintendent. That's a heck of a block there. You move forward anything that you want to with that. That's for sure. So, but this board, okay, those members that were helped in their election process by all of this money that was poured into the campaign, right? That I believe that there is a quid pro quo involved in that. That's what I believe. I can't prove it, but I know that the Bible says the borrower is the slave to the lender. So Coalition for Kids is the lender. And those who got elected, they're the borrowers. So the borrowers are the slave to the lender. That's what the Bible said. I didn't say it. But this board, those same members had been on that board for a long time, and they have been blocking the will of the people for a long time. They have refused to listen to the voice of the people. They got and said, I know you've heard all of this on my lives before about them, so I'm not going to dwell on it. You know exactly what I'm talking about when it comes to this board. Many of you have been up in the board, especially recently, but this has been over years where we were just ignored over time. And there are those who are saying that the Charleston County Legislative Delegation has ignored us also, and I'm not going to deny that either. I'm not going to deny it. When we were fighting for other things available, they were significantly absent. But then again, I don't think that we put as much pressure on them as these other folks did just recently. That's just an opinion, okay? So that's not caused to fight with anybody. That's just an opinion. Respect my opinion and I'll respect your opinion. But these folks have been on the board. Cindy Coates, Kate Darby, Eric Mack, Mr. Frazier is the new one, Chris Collins. They've been on this board. They're the same ones who have not been listening to us as a people for a long time. They're the ones who knocked the public comment section down from, I think it was like 3 minutes at one time. Then they went down to 2 minutes. At 1 minute, at one time they tried to drop it down to 30 seconds. That just says we don't want to hear what you got to say. You know, that's what it tells me. Maybe they have some other reasons or whatever, but they didn't share it with us. They have these executive sessions where they decide everything. And I was talking about how, you know, there are those who no matter what you try to tell them, they're not really listening to you. These folks are just like that. And the way that they get around listening, okay, is they have these executive set, these private meetings, okay, before they come to the board where the people get a chance to talk at. And before they get out to these seats, everything that they're going to do is already decided. So you can talk all you want, but the decisions have already been made. They just come out there to hear from you. Well, not even to hear from you. Let you get it off your chest so they can go ahead and vote whatever they decided in the executive session. Okay? And that's what the legislative delegation ran into back in November. They wanted to have a conversation with the board, and the board said, okay, we can get to y'all in December. And legislative delegation was all right. And the board said, okay, then we're not going to tell y'all this, but we're going to go down and have this vote 2 weeks before we meet with y'all. That way we get that out the way before we meet with y'all. We don't want to meet with y'all first and then see what y'all have to say and then vote. You know, and that's how they do it. And the legislative delegation, they were like, man, we the elected officials. What? They just hit us. And they decided to do something. So they came up with this bill and everything about single member districts and everything. Now, I'm not going to get into the specifics of single member districts, but from my perspective right now, I'm going to talk about my perspective. I'm not talking about Kevin Hollinshed's perspective. I'm not talking about Elvin Spates's perspective. I'm talking about Thomas Dixon's perspective. My perspective is, just like I've outlined already, this board has done enough damage over the years by ignoring the voice of the people that one of the sideline advantages of single member districts is that in the upcoming election in November, we can actually have a vote through single member voting to let the people decide if these seated board members will stay on their seat, and if not, get the heck on. Because we tired of not being heard all of these years. That's where I'm at with this whole single member district thing, because it's affording me an opportunity to get rid of these people who have no business sitting there talking about representing the people, and they ain't representing nothing but special interests. I think that's an opinion, okay? It's a possibility. But I know they're not representing the people. When I look at a school district who has 8 of the worst schools in South Carolina, okay, when I look at a school district that brought on a superintendent, and these are the same people that are sitting there, okay, that the Coalition for Kids back, they brought in a superintendent, right, who the board, the people, the community asked, well, just wait, because it happened right at Mother Emanuel, asked, just wait a little while, let's get over this tragedy, then let's do it. And they rushed and had a vote to vote Jarita Postlewaite in. Wonder why. And here we are 4 years later, almost 5 years later, and still we got 8 of the worst schools in South Carolina. that board, that same board, has consistently done that. They threw money out the window dealing with Durham's bus services. It's my understanding that they're doing better right now. But for years, Durham bus services were not living up to their obligations. That we, the people, had to call in the president of that company from the UK, United Kingdom, which that's what Durham is based out of. These people have not done the job. Jarita Postlethwaite, as superintendent, has increased six-figure jobs up under her regime. I think it's like sixfold, okay? She just got people coming on board and giving them these six-figure salaries, and our teachers out here starving. Out here got to go to Walmart and spend out of their little bit of meager money that they get, or ask parents to bring stuff up. When we just throwing money down the road, to those up in the school district, and the result is 8 of the worst schools in South Carolina. Does that make sense? You ever work a job where you keep getting nice raises and you ain't doing no work? Huh? I've worked a few jobs. When the work stopped, they get rid of you. If you're not living up to your contract, they get rid of you. I've seen it in professional sports consistently. They get rid of you, for sure. So the get rid of you aspect, okay, I've laid a groundwork right here about this board and about why I am in the position I am when it comes to single member district, strictly for one reason and one reason only. It's an opportunity to get rid of this board and get another group in, okay? Now, those who want to debate and all of that, I'm not into that, First off, let me take a side note before I step forward, okay? Listen, we're all adults. Even though I do have some children, some younger adults on my page, and I really hope that people will stop acting like grown folks will stop acting like children on my page, okay? Because I'm trying to set an example for our kids about things like conflict resolution, how we as adults resolve resolutions, how we can do, or conflicts, how we can do this without cussing and all of that, without fighting, without infighting, without arguing and debating and all of that. I'm trying to show them that we can have respect for one another and each other's opinions, even when we differ in our opinions. And let me just say this. I'll listen to anybody's side, but if my mind is made up, you can drop all that other stuff. Straight up. I'll be 68 years old this year. You ain't getting ready to tell me or make me do nothing. Period. So I don't care where you put it at. Put it out on Facebook. Put it out in the atmosphere. Get a blimp up there or what up, Pastor Dixon, this, that, and the other. Go ahead on. But you're not going to change my mind unless I decide to change my mind. Period. So back to the changing of the guard in Charleston County School District, okay? And I probably won't get to the voting issue tonight. Maybe I'll come back tomorrow. We must change the guard. We must eliminate that which has been non-productive all of these years. All of these years. I don't care what they're doing right now. All of these years. The body of evidence over the years supersedes whatever's happening in the present. Okay, and it's time to change the guard. And I want to go back to a document that's been around since 1776 in order to say why we need to. Okay, it's called the Declaration of Independence, written by Ben Franklin and revised by some more people in there right around 1776 or so, and signed and ratified July 4th, 1776. And it's a Declaration of Independence from Britain. The United States of America declared themselves independent from British rule, okay? And let me talk about what they wrote in the Declaration of Independence, okay? And I'm going to read it, okay? So it starts out, let me read the first paragraph. I'm going to just read through it right quick, and then I'm going to get to the second paragraph, and we're going to start to break a little something down, okay? All right, y'all with me? Y'all ain't went to sleep on me, is you? Okay. Tony Tone, what's going on, my brother? Yeah, Jesse, 12 plus years. You're right. You're right. Lynette, how you doing? Shakima, what's going on? Aaron, what's going on? Let's see who we got. Amanda, what's happening? Aquila, all the way from Florence. Chance, what's happening? Millicent, what's going on? Yep. Santonia, uh-oh. What'd I just do? Uh-oh. Let me stop bothering this thing, okay, before I mess up something. No, Jesse, I don't trust them, okay? We can say we, but I'm talking about I. I don't trust them, okay? The school board has given me no reason to trust them. Trust is built brick by brick. They gave us straw bricks. That's a biblical reference for those who don't know nothing about that, okay? Declaration of Independence. It opens with these words. It says, the unanimous declaration of the 13 United States of America. When in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impelled them to the separation. In a nutshell, that first paragraph, it says that any time that you have a governance and you have a people, and that governance is not doing its job, those who in charge are not doing their job, it's time to break off from them, period. It's time to, it says, mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to separation. I've already declared the causes. I've talked about them. I didn't even talk about all of them. But the declaration goes on to say, we hold these truths to be self-evident. In other words, it's obvious. It's obvious to everybody that all men are created equal and that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And that to secure these rights, it says, okay, that we're all supposed to be. Even though, and I know somebody gonna get on here and talk about, well, they had slaves and all this here, and we know all of that. Okay, I want to go with the wording. If you don't know the history, I'll run that down another time, especially. And if you get a chance to go to the African American Museum in D.C., please go learn your history, learn about your past. Okay, please, because they ain't teaching it in school yet. Let me stick around long enough and they'll be teaching it in class like they do every other class. They won't need a Black History Month because every day will be Black History Month, just like it is American History Month. Yeah, the right history. Back to it. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal. That's a given. Not treated equally, but created equally. Okay, it's self-evident. And that to secure these rights, those unalienable rights, to secure those rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the government. In other words, governments, school boards, city councils, general assemblies, Congress, the White House, those things are instituted by the people, instituted among men, and they derive their just powers from her. From the consent of the government, from the people. From the people. They get their power and their authority from the people. Okay? That whenever, next line, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, okay, when the government stops working for the people, okay, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it. Now, I didn't write this. And to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its power in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. We got a lot of unhappy people because of the education system right here in Charleston County. A lot of them, a lot of unhappy teachers, parents, frustrated children that are growing up with no avenue out of their environment, no way out. They're not being educated. How can we claim to be doing right by our children and we have 8 of the worst schools in South Carolina? Didn't happen overnight. That wasn't a 2019 invention. No. Bad seeds were planted in the ground a long time ago, and bad water was put on top of it. Bad seeds were planted in bad ground by bad people, and bad water was put on top of it, and we got a bad school tree that came out of it. And the people who did the planting, the farmers, the school board, and they still there. And by the Declaration of Independence, it says that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, the goodwill of the people, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such forms as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and their happiness. Folks, the Declaration of Independence, according to the history of our Charleston County School Board, and especially those members that have been there throughout this period of decadence, as the school board, the school system has literally imploded upon itself over the years, it is our job to protect our safety and our happiness and those of our children by doing what? By altering or abolishing that which is in place and instituting a new government, just as it says in the Declaration of Independence. You see, this is not me talking. This is them founding fathers that put this document together. Okay? They're the ones said that. Okay? Let me go on. He goes on and says, prudence, indeed, will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes. That's a key sentence. Okay? And accordingly, all experience has shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer while evils are sufferable than to right them by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. Prudence indeed will dictate that governments long established should not be changed. In other words, government should be given a chance. Those who are in governing positions should be given a chance. But there's a deadline on giving a chance. There's an end game on giving a chance. There must be some results on being given a chance. And any time that you got 5 to 10 years to affect changes, and the only thing you got out of this is failing schools when it comes to a school board, time's up. Bingo, that's for sure. But prudence says, okay, yeah, at least give them an opportunity. I think they've been given that opportunity. Says that accordingly, all experience has shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer. Mankind will usually be pretty generous with that when it comes to governance. Okay? While evils are sufferable than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. Mankind usually will not go to that level if they can in any way not go to that level. But the Declaration of Independence says that it comes to a point in time, okay, when in the course of human events, it becomes time to dissolve, okay. The last line I want to read, it says, after saying that humans will suffer long with this type of situation, says, but when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism. It is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. When a long train of abuses and usurpations, for years this board has misused their authority. They have turned their backs and closed their ears to the will and the word of the public, and not engaged in it or asked them even to the table. They basically thumbed their nose up at the people. The people who this document says are the ones who are in charge. And now there's a whole third party system involved in it. So you have the board, you have the people, and then you have this group called the Coalition for Kids that paid for a seat at the table. We have a problem because that long train of abuses docked into the station in Charleston County and brought all of the hell and the destruction that it wanted to on with them. And who are being destroyed? Our children, because of these people, because of these same people. Under absolute despotism. Despotism. That word in general means that those that are in charge are not going to listen to anybody. They're going to do exactly what they want to do. Exactly what they want. That's a great synonym for the school board. A great adjective to describe the school board. Yep, because they do exactly what they want. They don't care what you have to say. They don't care what I have to say. They'll give you if they could have 30 seconds, but they give you your 2 minutes. You can run off at the mouth. You can use big old flowering speech. You can read scripture and everything. You can do everything but interrupt their meeting. You can't do that. And then all they do is they sit there just like this. Some of them get their cell phone out, and some of them sit there like this while you talking. Because they've already made up their minds what they're going to do. And what you have to say has nothing to do with the decisions that they've made, even though it affects your children, even though these are the teachers that have charge over your children. They don't care. They don't care. So when it comes to that point, and that long train of abuses and usurpations have run to the end, the Declaration of Independence said, for the people, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide what? New guards for their future security. Folks, that's where I am with the aspect of single member districts. That's why I'm supporting single member districts. I don't care nothing about all that argument and carrying on they got going on out here. My whole stand is we need to repeal and replace this board with people that are elected by the people. There are some nuances that need to be worked out in that whole thing, but we are smart enough as a people to change our hearts, to swap a heart out and a kidney. We put a man on the moon. We had space shuttles and all of this here. We are smart enough to figure out how to make sure that the lines are drawn properly, and we can do all of that. And we don't need those folks that's there right now to do it. Because if we did, then they would have done it. They've had ample opportunity to get this job done, and they have not done it. And they've ignored the people that the Declaration of Independence said they're supposed to pay attention to. I didn't write that. I wasn't born in 17. I'm old, but I ain't that old. They wrote that. And it applies to today within our school system right now. It is time for the people to stand up for themselves. When in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station, it's time for us to repeal and replace this board. Period. And I'm going to stand with single member districts if that's the only thing that I myself have to deal with. So for whoever is steady trying to, goad me into a thing, first off, I don't goad easy. I said that earlier. I don't goad easy. I don't, step across this line, fight me. No, that's not me. It's not me. I'm grown. I do me. Okay. I think like I do, and I express my thoughts, and I don't expect anybody to think like me or act like me. Make your own choices. I'm putting this information out here so you can make your choices. You know, anybody who they want to. And I hang with whoever I want to also. Nobody gonna tell me who I can be with and who I can't be with. When we turn it around, we try to teach our kids about getting along and whatever, how we handle conflicts. And here we are setting the worst example out. Man, what's wrong with us? We got to stop doing that, people, for sure. Even the example that the school board gives, that the voice of people don't matter, doesn't make any difference. Don't you think our children are watching that? So then when they exhibit the same kind of behavior, now we want to discipline them. We got to call the SRO in, give them some detention or some days out of school or something like that, because they ain't listening to the teacher or the principal. When the school board doing the same thing, we are teaching them lessons. When we got all of this consternation and bickering and all this back and forth, and you think our kids ain't watching that? You think they're not taking notes? And you think that they're not saying, oh, the adults are doing it, so it must be all right to do that. So next thing you see them going through the same back and forth and bickering and fighting and carrying on. Because we've rubber stamped it as being okay by our own actions. And that old thing, don't do as I do, do as I say, man, that dog ain't hunting no more. Period. We as adults, we need to man and woman up and be real adults in this world, so we can show our kids what real adults live like. And it's showing with all that bickering and arguing and carrying on. Stop it. Stop it. I know somebody probably going to go off after all of this, and I really don't care. That's why I don't ever respond to that foolishness. But when it comes to this opportunity for me, and this is me. I'm not asking anybody else to think like me. This is me. This is an opportunity to get rid of a problem that we have for a long time. This is the opportunity to peel the scab up off of the sore and get the infection out of it, to lavage it, to put some still water down in there and wash it out and get some more folks in there in order to try to get a right governance group that will listen to the people, to the voice of the people, and act according to the voice of the people, not themselves, not some special interest group or anything like that. No, not a mayor, but the people. Not a chamber, but the people. It's about to stop this foolishness, for sure. And we can stop it on the authority of what? On the authority of a document that was written and signed in 1776 that broke away from an unfair governance system in Britain, in England, that had sway over the population of the United States, in America. They called the shots, and they were not being treated. They were not treating the people in America right. So the people in America said, enough is enough. We getting ready to separate from y'all and establish our own governing body. Folks, Charleston County School District, it's time to establish our own governing body. Straight up. I know there are those who want to get into this community education and economic thing, and I'm definitely down for that. But one way to do it is make sure that we have people in place within this school board now that we're going to hold accountable to listening to our voice. The ones that's right there, they ain't listening. They don't care. Michael Jackson, all I want to say is that they don't really care about us. They care about whatever their long-range plans are. And if their long-range plans weren't in place 5 to 6 to say 8 years ago, so that now we're seeing the benefits, a couple of years ago, then I don't have time to wait on it. They have failed in their job. They have not met their job descriptions. Their evaluations are substandard, and they need to be terminated in their employment. Okay. First person, they just get $25 every time they sit down. Well, ain't nobody tell them to volunteer for this job. You don't like the job, you ain't gonna do the job, don't take the job. Period. Go on now, So that's where I'm at tonight. And I wanted to go into the fact that Saturday is the Democratic primary. But I think I'm gonna have to hold off on that till tomorrow because I've been at this now close to an hour, and I don't want to hold y'all too long. Y'all are patient anyway. Y'all are extremely patient, and I really appreciate you. But I hope everybody gets an understanding of where I'm at, especially when you see all these other people they just love to get on Facebook, and you don't never see me doing all that stuff on Facebook. Never. Think I don't get mad about stuff? Shoot. Thank God for my God. He hear all of it. But folks, a lot of times I make light in my conversation. I like to joke around and everything, but this is serious. This is serious. If you stop and you think about the board members that are there and have been there 6 years, 8 years, 12 years, and then you think about the fact that they had governance over our children, okay, and they brought in their own superintendent who has had governance over our children for 5 years now. 5 years. She was elected right after Mother Emanuel in 2015 when we asked the board to wait. Just wait. Let's get the grief process out the way and then do it. But no, they rushed it right on through because they wasn't listening to us. They don't care. But just think, she's had 5 years. And the only claim to fame that we have in Charleston County School District is 9 of the worst schools. I'm sorry, I keep saying 8. That's only North Charleston. There's a 9th one. 9 of the worst schools in South Carolina. That's the claim to fame. But think about it from another angle. The children that have suffered in this school system and the long-term outcomes in their lives that these people had a chance to impact so that they could achieve greatness in the world. And instead of helping them to achieve greatness, they opened up the door for prison, a substandard lifestyle, drugs, drug addictions, violence, all of the negative aspects that we know comes along with the lack of a quality education. Yeah, they did it. The responsibility is going to be on them because I solemnly swear that I'm going to, do the best by the school district and this, that, and the other for the children of them. Yes, yes. And I am so-and-so. And they let these children down for years now. Our children down for years now. And what is the long-term effect going to be? What are those same children that have not had a chance in our school system? What are their lives going to be like in 10 years from now? 15 years from now? Or did these folks just set them up for slavery? Get rid of them. So can't nobody tell me nothing about single member districts. If this is an opportunity to repeal and replace this board, I'm down. I'm as far down like 4 flat tires, and they need to get the heck on. Going back to whatever they've been doing. Don't never come run for office. None of them. Those that are up under Coalition for Kids. Okay. So, alrighty. My rant is over. A little lesson on the Declaration of Independence as related to from 1776 to 2020. Okay. If you haven't voted already, you can still in-person absentee vote over on Headquarters Road behind the old Bilo off of Leeds Avenue. You can still vote there until 5 o'clock on Saturday. Tomorrow and on Friday, 5 o'clock on Friday. Tomorrow and Friday, the location will be open from 9 till 5 p.m. And you can vote there early absentee if you qualify under one of the 16 reasons that are on the scvotes.org webpage for absentee voting. Okay, you can go if you qualify one of those 16. That's 16 reasons. Now, it's a whole lot, okay? I get to go because I'm old, okay? Once you get over 65 years old, they don't put no stipulations on it. Matter of fact, you only have to go to jury duty when you get to be over 65 years old. But, for me, I'm trying to go. That's my civic duty anyway. I don't care how old I am, for sure. Saturday is the actual primary day. That means that all of those candidates that you saw fighting on the stage yesterday, man, that's another example, man. If we had any children that was sitting there watching that, man, what was their takeaway from that? What was their takeaway from that? So when they're having a conversation at school or whatever, and you got one child is talking over the other child and all of that at school and whatever, you teachers, be careful about how you discipline them now when we're giving them this example that this is, well, these are presidential candidates. Yeah, I said it. I said it. No kind of respect for one another on that stage. You know, sad. And the moderators wasn't no better, for sure. So we have to vote. We have to vote in the primary. We need a strong showing in the primary. I know there's probably some folks. I think everybody on this votes. For sure. But if everybody on here, if you haven't told somebody else about going to vote or offered to take them to the poll or whatever, man, come on now, work with me. If your pastor hasn't talked about going to the polls this week, if he didn't talk about it on Sunday or Bible study, and please, ask him, why hasn't he? Ask him, why hasn't he? And for those of us that's on here that might go to the club, some might go to the club. Why don't you ask the DJ in there to say something about coming out to vote? Please go tell the DJ, hey, look here, can you say a couple of words about the election on Saturday? 2 minutes, that's all, And then tell him what to say. Maybe he'll give you the mic and you can say it. We have to do this by any means necessary. Because not only is our school district, Charleston County School District, an entity that is governed by people who are not paying attention to the people and don't care anything about the will of the people. Right now, we have a 2/3 majority Republican General Assembly that feels the same way. We have a 2/3 majority Congressional Senate that feels the same way. And we have a man that's in the White House who feels the same way. Straight up. And the only way we're going to change them without having a violent overthrow of the government, which I don't advocate violence. That's me. To you be your way and to me be mine. But the only way that we're going to overthrow that government, the only way that we're going to abolish that government, the only way that we're going to change this thing is by the ballot. We can go to the polls and make a difference. The first election for South Carolina, the first stage of the election is the primary election this week, this Saturday. Polls will be open. Your precinct polls will be open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. If you haven't checked your registration, check it now. You might have been purged. scvotes.org, go to the section that says check my registration. Type in a couple of little things they ask and make sure that you know your polling place and who's on the ticket, okay? But that's on Saturday is voting from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Vote your choice. I'm not going to tell you who to vote for. I know who I'm voting for. I have told others who I'm voting for in this election, although I rarely do that. But you make your own decisions. Don't do anything because I do it. Please do your own research. And if you got anybody that's trying to tell you to do something and you ain't done your research and they just want you to do it just because they said it, be careful. Be careful. Better research, man. You mess around, you shoot, be caught up. Caught up. This ain't say free will mayor. Yeah. But yeah, for sure. This week, primary. Get out and vote. Take somebody else to vote. Start pushing, especially because there's votes after that, okay? So this will go next week, Tuesday, there's Super Tuesday. There'll be 14 other states that will be voting then on the primary to decide who they want to be their representative out of all of those folks that was fighting on the stage last night. And then in July, the Democratic National Convention will decide who that one candidate is going to be that's going to run against Donald Trump. And I'm gonna tell you right now, and there are people that don't like that or whatever, what I'm gonna say. But whenever that one candidate is decided upon, I don't care if it's your guy or your girl or not. Get behind that person, because that's the only way we're gonna win. If we start coming with attitudes and all of this here and emotions, and my person didn't win, so I'm not going to. Nope. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. If this fool get back in office again because of some foolishness out here in the streets, guaranteed, the lives that I do after that time, they ain't gonna be pretty. That's for sure. It's time to step up the game. It's time for us to take back from what's been taken from us. It's time for us to restore power to the people. It's time for us to make sure that those who have ridden roughshod over us and misused us from their government positions, I don't care with the school board, city council, mayor's office, general assembly, House of Representatives, Senate, Congress, the U.S. House of Representatives, U.S. Senate, or the White House. I don't care who it is that's been misusing us. It's time for them to go. And we control the vote, we control the ballot, and we control who goes into those seats. It's time to repeal and replace a bunch of folks. It's time to not just drain the swamp. It's time to flush the toilet. Get rid of them. This is Pastor Dixon. Listen, I love you all. I'll be hitting the road back to Charleston tomorrow. Just stand by. I think I'm going to do something tomorrow night again on this voting thing, maybe a couple of other issues. But it's time for us to get down, okay? It's time for us to quit playing around. It's time for us to quit allowing people to manipulate our lives and the lives of our children. It's time for us to take back our community, because ain't nobody going to do for us like us, okay? It's Pastor Dixon, man. I love y'all. Y'all have a wonderful evening. Peace.